My name is Rhea Mattox. I don't have Stargardts, but what I do have is another rare blinding condition. So what I share with those of you who've got Stargardts is just the sheer effort of trying to see every day. I also share some of the good things. There's always good things about having any kind of condition. And our 4 amazing panel speakers will be telling you a bit about that. But first of all, I wanted to ask those of you with Stargardts, and I say Stargardts with the S because we've had a conversation with the Stargarters. The Stargarters is the collective noun for a group of people with Stargardts. And of course, we have part Stargarters as well that we'll be talking about. The part Stargarters are the parents, families, friends of people with Stargardts. But can I ask the Stargarters, people with Stargardts, to stand up, please? Wow. Okay, so for those of you that can see, you may actually see that you're wearing, I'm colorblind because of my condition, but I think it's yellow strips. Can you all see? Okay, and there's quite a lot of you in the room. That's really, really exciting because this is the first time for some of you that you will have met somebody else with Stargardts. So just remain standing, please. Can I ask the parents, friends, and family members of people with Stargardts to stand up? Wow. That is amazing. Okay, I can't even begin to count, but that's almost the total room here. And you'll notice that you're wearing, I think it's red. Is that red?
Yeah.
I think it's different to mine. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's an awful lot of you, and one of the amazing things about having you in the room is your experiences are really telling as well. Just sharing those experiences really helps everybody. Now, can I ask those of you with my colour, which is orange, to stand up? We must be the helpers. No? What are we? The voluntary sector.
Voluntary sector organisations, people supporting.
We're voluntary sector, people supporting people with eye conditions other than Stargardts. Yes, I see you. Thanks for that. Okay, brilliant. And then those of you who are wearing blue, who are the professionals, the researchers, everybody who's helped organise this day and who's speaking. Can you stand up, please? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And this is the first time we've ever got a group of people who are working in the field of Stargardts and people with Stargardts and their family and friends together. So this is a really exciting opportunity to begin to travel the journey towards better treatment, hopefully a cure in the future, learning from each other, exchanging information. So can I ask those of you who can see us clearly to sit down, please? Okay, so for those of you who are standing, you share something in common with us on the stage, which is we're not going to be able to see you when we're doing our talk or see you very clearly. So if we're boring you, could you please yawn really loudly or heckle loudly so we know that we're going off track? So thank you very much for standing up and letting us get to know all of you, and hopefully you got to know each other. Please do sit down. And given the previous speaker, we're going to try and be big, bright, and bold. So we're starting off with Bhavna, who is the mother of somebody with Stargardts. Over to you.
Hi there. My name is Bhavna. I've got a 9-year-old boy called Ethan, and he's got Stargardt. He was diagnosed about 18 months ago. So I sort of noticed that he couldn't see from a distance. He was reading his book really close up, missing out words. I'd get really cross with him. So why are you not reading those words properly? Thinking there's problems with him reading. But so I took him to the optician, thinking he needed glasses. And she said, the optician said, actually, he hadn't read the sight chart very well, but it wasn't going to be corrected with prescription glasses. So this really puzzled me. I thought, well, that doesn't make sense to me. So I took him to another optician for a second opinion, And she said the same thing. And then that's when I thought, oh my goodness, what's wrong? Actually, no idea. And I remember being in the optician's for about an hour and saying to her, what do you think it could be? And she said, I'm not sure. Could be the brain. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Could be, could be something. I said, what's the worst case scenario that he could be losing his eyesight? She goes, possibly. And I just remember thinking, completely horrified. She said to me, I would recommend you get a private, go to Moorfields or go to a specialist hospital to find out. So I did immediately. And so actually for us, diagnosis didn't take that long from the first optician appointment to the actual diagnosis at Moorfields. Within 2 weeks, he was diagnosed with Stargardt disease. So as a mum, you're like thinking, what is this condition? I've never heard of it. Should he have, I was thinking, here I am thinking my son needs glasses, but actually he's losing his eyesight. So I couldn't even Google it at first. I was just too scared to read about it. And then I did. And then you're kind of thrown into a world that you never thought you'd go into. You've got, my 7-year-old son, who's a healthy, happy boy, and now he's losing his eyesight. And one of the hardest things, I remember when he was diagnosed, was they said, there's no cure, there's no treatment. So you're kind of feeling really helpless. You're thinking, actually, not only is my son going to lose his eyesight, there's nothing I can do about it. So that helplessness, actually, to be honest, that helplessness hasn't stopped. That feeling of helplessness is still there. But the initial feelings was the shock. And I remember for the first few months, I was completely shocked and devastated. And I remember saying to my friend, grief-stricken, I know what that means. I know what that actually means now, because, what I expected, I'm kind of gone to another path now, another sort of way of thinking. And it was really difficult. And the other thing I was going to say is his eyesight has changed. So within 3 months of being diagnosed, he was registered sight impaired. And 18 months on, it has got worse. And it's a loss for me, because I just feel like every time I got used to a certain, his level of eyesight being a certain way, and then it kind of goes. And I think, oh gosh, I've got to get used to that again. So it's been, I'll be honest, really hard and really, really tricky. And so it's really exciting to be here to see everyone. And, hopefully this is going to sort of move things forward. But so moving on from a year and a half on, where are we? So Ethan, like I said, his eyesight has deteriorated. He's actually, luckily, fortunately, a really happy, positive boy. And we were interviewed by the BBC in January. One of the reasons was to raise awareness of the condition, because obviously, rare condition, not many people have heard of it, and that was one of the purposes of it. So I'm going to show a little clip of Ethan and myself, and about how he's getting on with things right now. Yeah. So that's Ethan.
Oh, that was amazing.
I'd just like to say he's in Legoland at the moment. He had a chance of coming here, because now I'm going to Legoland instead with my friends. So it's obviously priorities. I was just going to say, you might have noticed he was wearing sunglasses. We talked about sunglasses earlier. And one of the reasons he has to wear sunglasses all the time, initially we told him it's to protect his eyes from the UV rays, but actually he's really, really photophobic, and I don't know if that's something that other people experience as well, but he's becoming increasingly so. And he said to me, Mummy, if I don't wear my sunglasses, my eyes sting. And he goes, ah, and I said, you're my little vampire, because he just finds it really difficult. So I don't know if that's...
Is anyone else photophobic who has Stargardts? Yeah, one of you, 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you, 5 of you, 6 of you, 7 of you. Okay, so it is quite common then, which is interesting just to know what people share.
Yeah. So, so what has helped us? So I think for us, what's been really important is the school. The school has been really supportive. We've got the VI team involved, and we talked about sort of assistive technology and things. So he has a Kindle, so he reads from, which again, large sort of font. He has modified text, so again, he's that kind of buff paper with he's on font size 24. So yeah, that's what it's prepared for him, and he's learning to touch type, and that was recommended from Moorfields, and that's something that he's been doing, and I think that's going to be really helpful when he's older as well. And he's doing quite well with that, and he has a magnifier as well. And I think that's it really. So I remember reading. In the beginning, I remember sort of reading somewhere, sort of Googling Stargardts and Googling visual impairment, and I read a little statement from someone, and it said actually sometimes if you can't change. You can't change a situation, you have to change your attitude towards it, which is what we've tried to do. But I'm hoping from this day today that we can move things forward in another way as well. So thank you very much.
I meant to say at the start, the reason that the panel calls it Stargardts is because they want to take some ownership, and they feel that the S on the end helps people identify that it affects both of our eyes, both of your eyes. So they refer to it as Stargardts. Hence, we've called it the Stargardts Day with the S on the end. I'm going to hand over to Ruby. Now, some of you may have noticed that Ruby has been on her phone, and there's a reason for that, because Ruby today launched at Stargardts 183. The 183 is to mark today. So she's launched a Twitter account, and Bhavna will come back at the end and talk about a website, so it's getting very exciting for Stargardts. So if you see her on the phone, it's not because she's bored, it's because she's tweeting. So Ruby's going to tell her story.
I'm Ruby. I was diagnosed when I was 12. I kind of had symptoms from when I was about 7, not being able to read the board. Went to the opticians, there's something wrong, but we can't quite work out what. And then was basically passed around a lot until I was about 12. I'm really talking about my experience at school and being a teenager. My school, in comparison to Ethan's school, were awful. Like, truly didn't give any help whatsoever. It was quite a long time, like a couple of years of not getting any help, because I was diagnosed in year 8 and I got 2 years of just nothing, which obviously I was already behind in school, and it kind of kept putting me further and further back because I wasn't able to catch up with everyone else. But my parents nagged a lot, and eventually I got a teaching assistant and I got a lot more help, and I did end up getting out of school, and that was all fine. And I thought, oh, it's not going to be so bad, it will all be fine. And then I went on to sixth form college, and it was back to square one again. They didn't know what it was. There wasn't a lot of support. Never saw a VI teacher. Didn't get any help in sixth form. Had not great teachers. But then I got through that, mainly by just trying to ignore it all. I'm off to uni in October to do politics and international relations. Haven't decided where yet because I'm very indecisive. But hopefully, next few months I'll choose. And I'm going off to America to work in the summer for 4 months. So I hate talking about my eyesight so much, and I hate acknowledging that I have an eye condition. I'm still not quite comfortable with this, and wearing the yellow lanyard and identifying myself as it is not a big thing. not very happy about it. But it's, despite all that, I want to say I'm living, I don't like the cliche, but I do just ignore it and live like a normal life as the rest of my peers. I'm going off travelling. I went travelling in the summer, going to uni, I work full time, I do all of these things, and it's just kind of, despite being so exhausting in this uphill battle, can do it. It will be fine. I think my mum and dad would have liked to know that when I was first diagnosed, that I wouldn't just be laying about. But I still do some of that. But yeah, so yeah, that's me. A few struggles, but in the end, it was all fine.
So Ruby is the social media expert of the group, and she's setting up the Twitter and Facebook accounts. So you'll be hearing more about that, because today is the launch of both of those things. The other thing that Ruby said to me that struck me was that she notices a step change, a step deterioration in her eyesight in the winter. Now, we talked about it. Don't know whether that's to do with the weather or certain conditions, but does anyone else experience a marked deterioration in the winter as opposed to the summer? Yes. Okay. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of you.
I'm going to raise the hand from my sister.
That's true. So it could be to do with the weather, the climate, the fact you don't get as much light. Don't know, but it's interesting that at least 4 of you, do you as well? So that's 5 of you experience that. So we need to note that and have a think about that. Okay, so, sorry.
I've got a contradiction to that because I get it the other way around.
you get...
I am not good in the summer, but in low light, I'm amazing. The winter really works for me.
It does for me too with my particular condition because of the lighting conditions. But what we're talking about here is a step deterioration. So your eyesight moves downwards and doesn't move up again. So what you experience, I experience as well, which is, lighting conditions. In the winter, because it's more even light, I'm much better able to get around. In the summer, I'm just blinded by the glare. I fall into many more things, walk in front of many more buses in the summer. Yeah. Sorry, somebody else had their hand up. Yes.
I just wonder if the winter is because the sun is actually at a lower level, and therefore I always find the sun is a lot more glary to get around, and that's why I find it more difficult in sunlight in the winter.
Yes, and I think that the conditions in the different seasons have a marked effect on what we can and can't see and do. But the interest for me was the fact that this is a step change downwards, so losing vision in the winter, which then doesn't come back. So it's a marked step change downwards. And that's what I was trying to explore. But I do agree that the different seasons lead to different problems, different issues. But, that's really useful, getting your feedback, because we're beginning to learn from each other and beginning to add to our knowledge of Stargardts. So you will notice as well there's a pattern. So Bhavna talked about childhood, Ruby talked about her teenage years moving into adulthood, and we have Toby now who's going to talk about being an adult in work.
Of sorts. Yes, hello, Toby Evans. So yes, I'm going to talk a few minutes about employment, getting a job, and Stargardts. I think this talk is really addressed to me 25 years ago to some extent. So, and the message really of this talk, I think, is that with Stargardts, I'm probably a mid-spectrum, I think, probably. But I think you definitely can have an enjoyable and fulfilling work life. And very excitingly, increasingly, you can be competitive with people who are sighted. I say that because I'm in a job, I work National Audit Office. We're sort of professional chartered accountants, and it is quite competitive, but I feel with assistive technology, more and more, I'm catching them up. I really feel that, and it's exciting. But the point, I think, if I'd say to myself, it's quite a long road, actually. You've got to learn the skills. And if you were like me 25 years ago, it's going to be a winding road, because I didn't have as good an attitude as Ruby. I was diagnosed 30-odd years ago by Professor Bird, Alan Bird, a legend, great man, in the mid-'80s. And I was very negative about this because I loved my sport and it was going, and I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want anyone to know. I just battled on myself. No problem, I can deal with this. And it was actually quite physically and emotionally challenging. So by the time I got to the end of university, I got an economics degree at university. I thought, that's my Everest. I've made it. I've done it. And then someone said, now I've got to get a job. And I said, I don't want to have a job. You've got to be even mine. Anyway, but my skills were really numerical, and it's awful, isn't it? But I thought chartered accounting would be something I could do, actually. But of course, I had such a bad attitude, really. I just wasn't prepared at all for what was coming. It sounds obvious, but so the first thing I did was pretty much run away. I did get a job by luck rather than skill, I think, with a big firm as a trainee. But I took a year off. I kind of ran away almost. But I came back and I still wasn't prepared. And in the first year, of course, all the things hit you that everyone who has Stargardts and works knows about, which is that you do take longer because you can't read as fast. So this is, mind you, I'm talking about the early 90s now, so there was none of this fantastic stuff that Michael talked about. You do take longer, you can't recognise people, and they think you're blanking them, and they think you're being rude, and you're not, because you just didn't see them. I used to go to the wrong meeting rooms. I don't know if because I misread where I was supposed to go, so I'd end up in the wrong place. That was a bit embarrassing, and I'd walk in, and they'd say, who the hell are you? And I did crazy things like I put on the wrong suit jacket with the wrong suit trousers. I even put the wrong shoes on. And if you're working in a kind of professional firm, I just was mortified by this. And because of my approach was still quite negative and closed, I didn't tell anybody what the issues I had. It was pretty negative, and I just felt bad and took it. I just didn't work out. Euphemism, through mutual consent, I left the firm. And this was not good. And I had that awful feeling of kind of relief, actually, when I was walking away, but also mixed with feeling pretty miserable about this, because obviously, and they told me, you'll never become a chartered accountant, certainly like Ashton, and you won't be able to do it because of your condition, basically. I mooched for quite a long time. Anyway, I'm probably talking too long here, but anyway, eventually I did. I just thought, actually, do you know what? And over a bit of time, thanks to help friends and through parents and a bit, I said, do you know what? I'm going to go back and I am going to do this. And the journey began at that point, and my attitude changed. And I think the thing that changed me was I actually started telling people and being more open and honest about what I had and the condition and how it was affecting me. And I also decided I was going to be more patient. I was just going to find my way, use friends. Anyway, by luck again, I got another contract with another firm, and I did actually make it in the end. And so that was fantastic for me. But it was more about, what I learned really was that this journey, it is about your attitude and approach. It is about being open. It is about being pragmatic and learning the skills. So getting people to help you, and obviously help through assistive technology, which I didn't like. I'm still not great at it, actually, to be honest with you. I'm still pretty rubbish, but I'm much, much better, and I embrace it much more. And so really, in the end, I've got to where I am today, which is completely the opposite of where I was 25 years ago, which I'm happy in my job. I feel like I'm really doing okay, and it's great. And Stargardts is still obviously an issue for living, but I feel like I can cope with it. And I just finished with so 3 do's and don'ts. I'm going to tell myself 25 years ago, Toby from 991. So do be open and honest and with everybody about it. Don't hide it. It's something. Don't throw it at people, but it's a big thing and people need to know. Do get help, not just from IT, assistive technology, but also from people and friends. And you'd be amazed in workplaces. People just are nice. Most people are nice and want to help you. But you need to identify the people who are going to help you. There's always people who probably just want to think, there's a chance to push that guy. He's got a problem, we're not going to put, but you're going to find the guys who are going to help you, and they will help you. I had a fantastic person in HR who got me extra time in exams, more than anyone had ever got through his efforts. That enabled me to pass the exams. And do be patient, as I say. You learn the skills. I think that's the key thing. It's a lot of little things you do in meetings, how you listen to people so you can recognise faces, all sorts of things. Do give yourself a bit of a, do put your suits actually together with the trousers at the beginning of the week so you don't get that wrong. And then the don'ts are, don't think like a victim. I think that's the thing that took me years and years and years, because if you keep thinking, I'm victim, I'm owed lots of stuff, it's an odd one, but I felt like, no, I'm going to contribute. I'm actually an asset to this firm and I can contribute. That took a thing. And don't give up is the other thing. Because you often think you want to, but don't. And don't also, final thing, don't lose your sense of humour and your sense of perspective, because that will help you through, no doubt about it. That's what I want to say.
So I think there's a pattern emerging, and when we were talking these things through, that one of the biggest things that came up was how you adapt to a world that isn't designed for us, for those of us with partial sight. And yet, not only do we move forward in it, but we achieve amazing things in it by adapting, by surrounding ourselves with the right people, by telling the right people, by finding the right circumstances, be it at work, in your home lives, or in your leisure lives. And I think the panel are beginning to prove that. I'm going to move on to Rob, and Rob has got another story about work, but a very, very different take on what happened to him in the work environment. So, Rob?
Hello, I'm Rob McCann from Sheffield. I was diagnosed with Stargardts when I was 21, 1981. Went to the opticians just to get some new glasses, and after he was looking in my eyes for quite a while and going through a big thick book, he suggested I went to the hospital. So I went to the hospital and managed to see 2 consultants there who both diagnosed me with Stargardts. And then I think I got the truth. They told me, no cure in your lifetime. This is how it's going to be. I could have been registered then, but I chose not to. I also got to see Professor Bird. And he said exactly the same. And I've realised since then that I walked out of 2 consultants and a professor's consulting rooms and chose not to believe them when they said there's no cure. And I essentially tried to forget it. I did the thing I think probably quite a few people have done that. Just get on with life, had to stop driving, and just carry on doing everything I did. And ignore it and hide it and pretend it had never happened. That's a real mistake. So if you've got it and you're not told anyone, tell people because they all know anyway. Then 30 odd years later, it's 2012, I heard about a chap in Wakefield who had had some stem cells put in his eye. And I'm watching the local news with my wife and we talked about this. And I thought, well, if I'd chosen not to believe consultants and a professor years ago, what was I waiting for? What am I doing? So we spoke about it, discussed it, and decided that if I wanted to do it, I could go for it. I got in touch with a consultant in Sheffield who wrote to Moorfields and said, I've got someone who might be suitable for your stem cell trial. They wrote back and said, yeah, do a few tests on him, which they did in Sheffield and sent the results down. They said, yeah, that looks good. Can you come down and meet us? So 2012 went down and started meeting people in Moorfields. And they said, yeah, if you want to do the stem cell trial, you can do. Then I had to have a big think about it, because it's a big thing to do. It's, I guess, quite a dangerous thing to do. It is a safety trial. It is to work out, is this actually a safe thing to do? There are potential outcomes from it. The one that scared me was the fact that the chance of cataract was 80%. So, I spoke to Professor Bainbridge and said, is that true? He said, yes, but we're not worried about cataracts. And I thought, well, okay, then I don't want to know what worries a professor. I'm happy with that. You know, cataracts is something that can be done all the time. So I agreed to go for it. This was running through 2013 then to do it. And I started to talk to my work about this because I realised I need an awful lot of time off work to go down to Moorfields. In the year after the procedure, I think I needed 30 days in Moorfields for testing and lots of work like that. And so holidays don't cover that. So I asked work, would they help? And they said, no, we don't want to help. They also pointed out, by the way, since this is a procedure that I've chosen to do, if it actually makes me ill, they don't have to pay me sick pay. So this sort of thing really started to make me a bit angry with work, that they weren't really interested in this thing. And I thought, well, I don't know. I said, look, we can sort of manage this. We can do it. So we went ahead and carried on. And I spent sort of September 2013, had the procedure done, and then constantly going down to Moorfields, then having to go back to work and being really angry with work. And it got to the point where I was not in a good state of mind with work. And luckily for me, another job came up. Now, this was with a Sheffield Royal Society for the Blind, so a charity to help the blind. And I applied for the job. And they gave me an interview. And at the interview, I said, look, I'm doing this stem cell trial. I need lots of time off work. And this is at the interview, telling them I need extra time off work. Haven't even got the job. And the boss, Steve, rang me a few days later and said, look, we really want you to work with us. What we're going to do is go 50-50 on the time off. So if you book a day off, we'll give you half a day. If you book 2 days off, we'll give you an extra day. And that was just to get me to do the job. And I thought that some people get it. They understand how important these things are. And luckily it's a charity for the blind that understands these things. It'd be awful if they didn't. So I changed my job and I carried on going down to Moorfields. And I still go down to Moorfields. And I still get to see Professor Bainbridge once a year now. It's 3 years and 6 months, roughly, since the procedure. As far as we're aware, I say we, I remember what people tell me. The stem cells are no longer stem cells, they're proper working cells in the back of the eye, they're doing their job. No, I can't see any better. It's not that trial, not yet. And well, I've got another 2 years to go and then still keep in touch with Moorfield as well after that to see how long it goes, because once you've had cells put in the eye and a trial's over, you've still got them. So they're going to be there for the rest of my life. Hopefully that'll be another few decades at least. And we'll see how it goes. So I'm not wholly sure I'm going to do the next trial. I've done one. I'll leave that up to you guys out here if you fancy sticking your name down for it. But then once it's a treatment, not a cure, yeah, I'll have the treatment because I want to see again. I want to know what you all look like. I want to know what my wife looks like on a daily basis. I want to know what my daughter looks like. I want to know lots of things that are really hard. I can stare at pictures all I want, but that's not a face. That's just a picture. I'm only learning what a picture looks like. I want to know, stood here, what you all look like, which might make it even scarier. I don't know. It's nervous enough as it is. But yeah, that's sort of my story. So if anyone wants to talk about the trial and how I feel about it, come and have a chat afterwards, because in the years to come there will be more trials. So if you fancy a crack at it, keep in touch. Thank you.
I call Rob.
Can I just ask
Oh,
what
sorry.
the job was before he changed to Sheffield RNIB?
Yeah, not Sheffield RNIB. We're completely independent of RNIB. Sorry.
I didn't mean to swear, sorry.
You know that saying as well. I worked in education.
Okay.
I'll not say where.
Okay.
I don't think it's fair. But I worked in education, and it shocked me that an education establishment didn't want to make things better for the world. And I think that's what really made me angry with them. It was that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Okay.
I call Rob's talk "Stem Cell Therapy Changed My Life" because that's exactly what happened. Because he decided to go for stem cell therapy, the whole work situation blew up, and he moved into a job that he loves, and he's thriving.
Yes.
So that's amazing. Has anyone else in the room been through the stem cell trial? Yes. So there's 2 of you. So it may or may not have been the same trial as Rob was on, but it'd be quite interesting to catch up. It was. It was the same.
Okay.
So
Great.
you probably
Nice to meet. I'll meet you later if I can. I won't
David.
recognise you.
Yeah, I know. You can't see each other. Shall I describe you? You're both wearing yellow.
Right? Oh, great. That's a good start.
So it's David.
He's standing, so we will follow.
Good, good. So that's David, who was on the same one. And who was it at the back?
Stephen, I think I was on the same trial.
And Stephen.
Right.
So you can
Hiya.
start a little stem cell group here. So that's the experiences of 4 of them. John also has Stargardts, but he's going to be talking in a moment. Is there anything in their experiences that resonated with you? Anybody want to give their experience? Yes? I know you have Stargardts. Nice to have you talking.
Hello? Yeah. I think what resonates is that I think your mental attitude and your emotions sometimes disable you more than your sight loss. I know that my eyesight is worse than before, but I feel more adapted. I have more solutions, and I can function much better now than, say, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. So I think a lot of our the view of how we view ourselves and our emotions is very important.
I think you're so right, and I think that's what came through all of the 4 talks. It's about what you do with it. It's about what you can do as opposed to what you can't do, and how you adapt and make the world adapt to you. And I think the journey of the 4 speakers is an amazing example of what you can do. So thank you to you 4 speakers. What I'm going to ask now in the last few minutes that we've got, Bhavna's going to be launching the Stargardts website. So this is for all of you, and we need your participation and your ownership of this. So I'm going to hand over to Bhavna, and then it'll be John talking about a register.
Okay. Are you able to show the website on the screen? Okay, so sort of speaking about when Ethan was diagnosed, what I did find initially was, again, lack of support for his condition. And I remember speaking to Professor Michaelides and saying, is there a support group for, specific to Stargardts? And I remember him saying no. So again, 18 months on, and I've been thinking about what would I have really wanted when Ethan was newly diagnosed. What would be really, really useful for me? And I thought, actually, what would have been really, really useful for me would have been having a Stargardt website. So I could Google it and almost like having a one-stop shop. So for me, I thought, okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we just sort of design a Stargardt website? And I'm not a website designer at all, so which is why you can see. But I just thought, let's, give it a go. And so that's the home page here. So I just thought, what would I want? So the main purpose would be to give information about the condition, talk about the symptoms, and talk about latest research, and then also signposting. So I thought actually signposting people, with Stargardts, to relevant support, whether it's financial, practical tips and things, emotional, there's a fundraising Just Giving link, so helping with fundraising. So again, like I said, it is work in progress, and this is just a start. So I'm just kind of calling on hope. So at the moment, the website is Stargardts, www.stargarts.org.uk, and it is just, this is the homepage, and this is what we're hoping to develop. So I'm just asking for help, really. So I wanted to say, if you are any budding website designers, or if you know any ideas, this is what I want the purpose to be, but you might think, something different. So there is like a poster over there, and it says, share your thoughts about Stargardts and what we have planned. So if you can think anything else that you'd like to have on it, please let us know. If you would like to help us develop it, that'd be great. If there is also a sign-up sheet with your net, and you can put your name and your email address, so you can we can contact you. So so it's just kind of work in progress, but hopefully this will be the start of something. And I know something also, the other purpose of the website was to get people with Stargardts to register, so give their details. And because we want to create a patient register, so I'm going to hand it over to Dr. John Hall here, who's going to give a bit more information.
Thank you. So Bhavna's talked about putting your thoughts up. There's a piece of paper at the end of the room to your left, just checking, to put your thoughts on. And there's also a piece of paper to give us your contact details so we can stay in contact, because this is now the Stargardts community. And together we need to move forward with better treatments and hopefully a cure into the future. So the website is the start of it, and we can make it responsive to your needs. And most importantly is finding out about all of you who have Stargardts, so we can move forward with the right research. If we don't have the people, we can't do the research. And that involves setting up a register. So I'm going to move to John, who also has Stargardts, who wants to talk about the register.
Thank you. Can I just start by thanking Andy for doing a fantastic job of organising today, and how thoughtful he has been about all the signs and the massive characters and things. It's really helped and makes us feel like we're involved. My journey, I was on an aircraft. I couldn't read the book I'd bought, and that's when I first realised I had an eye problem. I was diagnosed by one of my colleagues informally, who said, come and let's have a look at the slit with the slit lamp. About 3 minutes later, he knew what the diagnosis was. He photocopied a page from a ophthalmic textbook, handed it to me. I went home and we drank quite a lot of wine.
You were a doctor at the time?
Yes, I was a doctor, yes. It's kind of a different diagnosis to most people. I did end up having a formal diagnosis at Addenbrooke's and at Moorfields, and I had a great journey. Everyone was fantastic to me, actually, but it was still pretty painful, but very supportive. So I had to give up my job. They made me go off sick, and I spent that time doing an Open University course. Then someone offered me a job out of the blue, said, come and work in research. You can work for half a day a week. And I was very pleased, and actually take every opportunity you can, because out of that half a day a week, I grew it to a full-time job. It's actually gone back down again now, but I've still had a fantastic career. You have to work harder than a normal person because you're slow, and you have to just be grittier, basically. But I am happy in my life, and I don't let Stargardts get me down, so it's very important. Anyway, to go onto the register, there's a table over under the Twitter feed that's got bits of paper on it that have the details of why we need a register. It's got the web addresses, etc. And because we didn't coordinate with each other before the meeting, I've also set up a website, and it's called stargardt.co.uk. And you can Google that page. If you Google Stargardt Patient Register, as long as you put a double inverted commas before the beginning and the end of the word, it will find the page, because it's only put up yesterday. So, and that
Can we merge the two websites?
We could, yeah. So what that page does is take you to another page, which is just a way of putting your name and email address. That's all it takes off you, and your title. What I'm going to do with that is make it into a distribution list so we can keep in touch. I don't want to take anyone's other details at this stage. So I'm going to write a newsletter, and we can have, really the big plan is to have some sort of body, association we'll call it at the moment, of interested people, and it's supposed to be friendly to all ages. It's very important. Just to go on to Register, so Register has two sets of purposes. One is about us, in other words, helping us get through university, get through school, about employment, about society. That's one side of it, and that, I think I call that a patient portal. And the other side is the bit about your eye side, which is about your genes and what the doctors call your phenotype, which is basically what your eye looks like. So that side of things is also very important. It helps the researchers do a better job and a quicker job of finding treatments. So those are both very important. There are existing databases, so different hospitals in the UK have different databases, and one of the ideas is to bring them together, which you've got to get everyone's agreement about. So that's the purpose of the register, and so it's a bit of paper over there. It's got some stuff about why it's important, and the other thing we need to do is raise money. Really important, because we can fund research, basically. So if we raise tens of thousands of pounds, actually, we need, or even more than that, then we can get treatments potentially faster. So that's the other thing we need to do in terms of our organisation. We're already planning to meet, probably in London, within about a month or two to get ourselves going. But everyone's welcome, and we'll try and make it as fit for everyone as possible. Thank you.
Okay, the only thing worse than having a lack of information, a lack of focused information, is having too many sites and too much information. So I take it upon myself to make sure that everything is merged, and that for people who are looking for some help, they find it easily. So I think the 5 people that you see on stage are going to be working together from now on to improve information, to set up a register, and to move forward with treatments and cures in the future. And that does mean we need your help. We desperately need your help, so we want you to be approaching the 5 people during your lunch breaks, signing up to whatever you can do to help, ideas, how you can fundraise, whatever. A lot of fundraising has already been achieved. But we need to move forward with more and better. Can I just ask anybody, are there any questions first for the 5 speakers? Yes.
I'm a parent of a 12-year-old who's got Stargardts. 2 things. John, as a parent, can I sign up on behalf of my daughter?
Yes, you can. And it states that. And you can edit it. If you make a mistake, you can edit the page yourself. So it's supposed to be, you have ownership, basically. But yes, you can.
And also, I link up with another charity with raising funds with my family and friends for Stargardts. Can these charities work together to go into one pot?
They already do work together. They've told me don't set up yet another charity. I think that's quite important, and I don't think we're mature enough. So that's why I think we need to be an association as we start, and we'll do it properly, you know, with a constitution and all those controls that you should have. So, but yeah, we should raise money to give to the charities. The charities already have very good mechanisms of funding research. So they will look at research, they have experts who then decide where the money goes, and we shouldn't do that ourselves because we don't understand it well enough.
Thank you.
Can I just check, you've been raising money specifically for Stargardts with the charity?
Through Fight for Sight. So
through Fight for Sight, yes.
Yeah.
And Stargardts is one of their priorities in Fight for Sight. So that money is ring-fenced for Stargardts.
Great, thank you.
Yes. There's a question here.
Hi. Just two things I wanted to say. One is Blind in Business, which runs courses for parents with children in education and looks after about 90 graduates a year. And they're based in Liverpool Street. And I've had some excellent feedback, and I know some VI people that actually work for them as well. So I would. The other one is the Thomas Poplinson Trust, who I work for, but they pay for me to work full time for Metro Blind Sport. The Thomas Poplinson Trust are based in Euston. You can use their facilities, meeting rooms free of charge. They also fund something called Visionary, which also fund small associations and societies. They are UK wide. So there's a couple of good links there. They also fund research. So the Thomas Poplinson Trust, I can give you more information if you need it.
Thank you very much. And I know that you're going to be at your stall, which is the stall which has got the big poster Metro beside it, so people can come and ask you for further information. But if I could get it from you, I'll make sure it goes out on the website, whichever website it is. So thank you. There's a question at the back here.
Hi, I was just wondering, with the register, how specific you're wanting to be in terms of, is it only people who have a definitive diagnosis of Stargardts? Does it need to be molecularly confirmed as ABCA4?
No, definitely not. You definitely don't have to have a molecular diagnosis. But I think you need to have a medical diagnosis. That would be right, isn't it? Yeah. So just definitely don't need a molecular.
Okay.
But we would like to have everyone in the country. So one of the aims is to basically try and find as many Stargardt patients as possible to get them on the register. That's the ultimate aim in 10 years' time. And we've just got to get the journey to get to that place. And everyone needs a molecular diagnosis.
Great. No, I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea, and it's brilliant that you're doing it. If it was a Stargardt-like phenotype, would that be acceptable?
I'd have to ask Andy on that.
I think you've got to be inclusive because you learn a lot from those things. So yes, I'd say yes.
Okay, that's good.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we have a final question here. Just a moment, the microphone's coming round.
I've got two nieces, 16 and 13. They live in a remote hamlet in North Norfolk, and when they were diagnosed with Stargardts at 7, and my eldest niece was 7 when she was diagnosed, nobody knew. We didn't get, you've all said, no help and support. I'm really wanting my niece to meet other girls or boys, same age as her, so she can chat.
Yes.
She obviously likes to be on her phone, but just not feel so alone because she's not very well at the moment. And I think it's a shame she's not here because there are a lot of
children
here today, and it would have been lovely for her to have met them today. So would the website help with putting together some groups for them to chat? And
one of the purposes of the register is to bring geographically people together. So if you live near someone with Stargardts, you can get in touch with them. That's one of the ideas. So it will, and then once you know one person, they might know another person, and it will sort of spread like that. And what we, not now like to do, but at some point in the future, we want to go out to the hospitals and involve an eye doctor and say, could you please write to all the Stargardt patients on your books, ask them for their permission to know about this register. That's the plan. So we've got 330 hospitals we need to visit at some point.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, I think.
And I have to say that I have an even rarer condition than you. I think there's an estimated 6,000 with Stargardts, and with my condition there's an estimated 600. We know everybody who's got our condition through setting up a website and getting to know people and putting people in touch. So there's now nobody with my condition, which is very rare, that doesn't know somebody else who lives relatively nearby. So it's very easy to achieve that, and absolutely an important aim. Okay, thank you. I've been asked.
What about registration of patients outside UK?
That's absolutely fine. I mean, I'd like it to be European personally, because the bigger the database, the better.
Yeah.
So yes, and what we are. My plan is I'm planning to link up with the Netherlands as the first place to go to, because I know there are already academic links. So yes.
And I think international is their final
The
ambition.
doctors
We'll
are
get
already
there.
linked, though, so, yeah.
Okay, I want to say thank you very. I'm sorry. From Austria. Austria will definitely be included in due course.
It is right in there.
So, thank you very much indeed to the panel members for talking, and thank you to all of you for listening. You're about to go off and have your lunch, but before you do that, we wanted to say one last thing, which was this day would not have been possible without Andy Skilton. So we'd like him up here on stage. Have you got, Bhavna's going to do a presentation. Oh, yes. Of course. Whoops. Yes. I just can't see what I'm doing. There we go.
There we go. Thank
There we
you
go.
very much, so much. You've been
you.
fantastic.
Really very
Very well organised. It's brilliant.
It was.
Thank you.
So,
sorry, this is for you, Raya.
Oh,
also,
oh,
just
thank
to
you.
say thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
So we've been meeting up for the last couple of months.
Thank you. How embarrassing.
Yeah, without you, Raya, I don't think, you've been absolutely instrumental in how it's all gone. So thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
all very exciting.
So over the lunch break, as you're enjoying your lunch, please, please, please do connect with these people. Please sign up to be part of the website and to give your expertise and to be part of the register. And Andy, thank you.
Yeah.